Hey everyone, it's Saturday morning. I'm getting ready to head to the field here, and I thought I would show you what has happened this week. Sorry I have not been keeping up to date, but we started lambing. Some rain on a Monday, and we could have started the Wednesday before that, and we kind of figured we'd have some lambs on Monday. Well, we had 2 sets of twins and a single on Monday. And then I believe we had 2 more twins on Wednesday and a single on Thursday. We have 9 lambs out of 6 ewes. We have 2 more that are confirmed bred still. And then we have 2 more that are exposed but not confirmed bred. I would say only one of those is actually bred though. These are primarily a white Dorper cross with some Katahdin. And most of them are white or have a white brown, but we did end up with that one all black lamb. And that's his twin right there, the all white one. I believe that is our most recent one right there. And he is a day and a half old. He's a really nice buck lamb. I would expect the other 2 confirmed bred ewes to finish lambing here in the next week or so. And then that last one, I would guess she's probably 14 to 20 days behind those. So it shouldn't be too long. We should be done by the end of October. You know, we have 10 here in this group total. Like I said, we only expect 9 to actually lamb. Overall, fall lambing has went really well. Really happy with how things have turned out. My biggest concern would be if to go full on fall lambing. How do we handle the lambs in the winter? You know, we are limited on space. Not that we can't figure that out. And then I think conception rate can be an issue. You know, it's out of season to lamb in the fall for sheep. The white-faced and these hair sheep tend to breed more often than a wool sheep, from my understanding. But it's still, you know, if you get like a 60 to 70% conception rate in the fall, yeah, you might hit the Easter market with a fatter lamb, but you don't get the number of lambs you would in the spring. And I think that Easter market high has become less of a thing here as of late. You got a little bit of siblings fighting there. Little lambs are awfully playful. We also picked up this guy this week. I was not planning on buying a buck, and that's something I really did not want to do. But this guy came available. He's from a family friend. I think they gave us a pretty fair deal on him. Pretty good deal, really. And that lamb, he's a lamb. He's born, you know, in January, February, looking really nice. And so that goes back to the fall lambing. If we were to go to fall lambing, we wouldn't breed until April, May. And we've talked about lambing in April and May, which means we want to turn out around December 1st, you know, Thanksgiving, somewhere in there. I think what we'll probably end up doing is still going with the spring lambing. If we were to try fall lambing, we would probably just keep the group that we already have, those 10, and any lambs we would retain from that group, and just see how we get along with those, rather than try to do it with the whole herd and you know, potentially miss out on 30% or more of my lamb crop. You know, the weather's been great here for lambing, for everything really. I mean, last week it was in the 90s, I believe. We didn't lamb. It cooled off with that rain. We've been like 70 degrees here and getting down in the 40s or 50s at night. And the lambs have a ton of vigor. So looking forward to wrapping that up, seeing them lambs grow, and really looking forward to turning this guy out in about 6 weeks or so, 6 to 8, and seeing what we get out of him. We are still looking for one more buck. Not sure if we will pick that up off a sale or if we might just kind of rent one or borrow one from a friend. We're not sure yet. It just kind of depends on what we find and everything. We're on the road again, guys. Headed to go pick up our latest purchase. Just wanted to give you guys an update on the bucks. So that is the buck right there that we showed you in the trailer. And then the following week, we were watching a sale and we found this guy. And so we bought him along with something else that I will try to show you guys here. And then we started thinking, well, we really want to get our lambing window down, so we ended up purchasing a third buck right there, and he's the newest. That one with the red tag, he's our newest buck there in the back. So we're going to go into breeding season with 3 rams, and we'll turn those out in December, probably the first week of December, and that should give us some May lambs. And we're trying to hit some good weather there. I know we're going to miss the market high, is what they call it with Easter, but we feel it's still going to work out in our favor. Just wanted to give you guys an update on that. That's what we went and got last night, is that buck there in the back. So the feeder that we're filling here is what we call the steer pen, and they're not all steers. There's steers and heifers in here, and one goat. That's got to be the luckiest goat ever, because he's just the herd leader. But we have these calves here. They all started out as bottle calves or small calves or something like that. Calves that didn't fit with the group at the time, and we think we're going to sell when they get bigger, and we've taken them all up to this weight. We'll probably sell them either as fats or as locker beef. And this is the group that we're grinding the most feed for probably right now, just in terms of consumption. They eat a lot. It's mostly corn. And like I said, they'll be brought to the locker when it's time, or if we don't have someone interested in buying them, we'll sell them through a sale barn or something like that. Also wanted to give you guys an update on the ewe flock. Let me zoom in here and you'll see one of the surprises, or 2 of them. So right here we have what was supposed to be our open ewes originally that we'd bought over the summer. And when we were watching that sale that we bought that first buck there, and the bigger one up there that we just showed you, there was a group of some white and black Dorpers that came through, and they were exposed. And you can see a few of them right there. There's only like 4 head of black-headed Dorpers in here. I think there's 3 or 4 of them right there. So, but when we were watching that sale, we ended up buying those. We bought that buck, and we bought a few more and added to the herd. And the plan is to keep all those new exposed ewes. They should be going right around February. So we'll have to figure that out. We're going to be looking for a barn or a shed or something to keep these girls separate and lamb them. And that night we went up to that buck pen and dropped off the buck, come down here, backed up, and all of a sudden we see 2 lambs. And it had been about 24 hours since I had checked them, but those lambs were running around doing real good. And we decided to leave them here. They're doing well. They're with mom. They're herded up. Why mess with them if they're doing a good job? That's what we're after, really, in this sheep herd, is easy keep and use. And there's a term out there for easy care ewes, and that's not what these are. You know, these are Katahdin Dorper crosses, probably heavy on the Dorper. And we did that because we felt like it was easier to find Katahdin bucks, and we would like to stay pretty close to that middle of the road crossbreed. And that's the reason that we got what we got. But yeah, these are, I guess, low maintenance would be a better term. You know, they can lay down and have lambs, and there you go. We haven't touched them. And I know, like, I grew up with sheep. We were in the wool breeds then. That is not always the case. You know, and that probably won't always be the case with these guys. I've just been really fortunate. But we just wanted to show you the herd we have. And there's a few skittish ones, and I think they get the whole herd riled up. But we shake a bucket and they come. Now what we're trying to do is not feed much of any corn. We'll probably feed a little corn the month before they breed, so coming up here, just to flush them is what they call it. You're putting a lot of energy to them. Hopefully they'll drop more eggs, increases your chance of multiples when you lamb. And that's our goal, and we'd like to get it done in 42 days. That'd be 2 cycles for the girls. And we'd be done lambing by middle of June. And I know that's kind of late for people. But again, we're after quantity, and we can get them big and then figure out the market after that. But I just don't think you can make up a lack of lambs in pounds. And we'll keep bringing you guys back for this herd, keep you updated on how they're looking, and show you what we see. And the next step will be to turn the bucks out. We'll have to catch those lambs when they get older to wean. We'll show you what we're planning on doing with the weaned lambs. I think right now we're going to feed them, and we're just going to see what the market does around Christmas and so on and so forth. We might be able to even hold them long enough to hit the Easter market. And if we got some good ewe lambs, we'll probably keep those. We'd like to get to the point eventually where we can kind of close the herd, just bring in bucks for different genetics and keep our own ewe lambs. Now, this is our first year going in on this. We've been in sheep before, but we've kind of changed directions as far as what we're doing with sheep. And we're figuring it out just like anyone else would be. Just throwing some hay over to the bucks here. Thought this would be a good place to end the video. We'll keep bringing you back, showing you more with the livestock, the sheep, the cattle, and as we continue harvest and get ready to wrap that up and move cows home. Thanks for watching. Let me know if there's anything you want to see in particular.